I'm Lorenzo Blau from DeBeers, and for the ladies in the house, I didn't bring any diamonds. A quick introduction to our company, the challenges that we had faced during our implementation through MII for the last 12 months. I want to touch a bit on the business case that we used to develop this. The actual component, because we've seen so much through the morning what MI can deliver. We just seen a presentation from on the technical piece. So what I want to show you actually today is what we've delivered out of all these components in MI, some of the best practices that we followed, and ultimately the end result. DeBeers has been in operations for over 100 years, mining diamonds, starting out of the Southern African operations. And we produce 40% of the world's diamonds, basically one of the main leaders in the diamond industry. We are currently operating in Canada for the last 50 years through an exploration process. We started operations about 2 years ago through our Snap Lake operations in the Northwest Territories, close to the Arctic Circle, and then the Victor Mine operations in Northern Ontario. We have one great prospect in Gotcha Quay coming up, and we'll pretty soon know if that is a go or not. Just to give you guys a quick glance of where these operations are and all the challenges that we have, our Victor Mine operation is running off the grid from an energy perspective, but our challenge up at Snap Lake is that we have to generate our own energy. That in itself brings a whole can of challenges together. And this slide really speaks for itself, because what you've seen is that we work on a bi-weekly basis with our operational staff, and the challenges that we have is the information flow. Had it been the manufacturing plant or any other information coming in, there's always the question asked from corporate, is that the right data that we are having? Is this a true reflection of what's going on our operations?
Thank you, Lorenzo. My name is Vic Riccardi. Good morning and welcome. I'm going to cover a variety of the slides moving forward from a deployment capacity of RTS. So some of the challenges that we had here were unique and presented some special go-arounds to kind of overcome them. DeBeers wanted to absolutely positively leverage some of their largest investments, and their largest investments were on plant floor automation and the ERP deployment within corporate. How could they leverage those past investments really to exploit what they could have as far as a perfect plant or operational excellence? They needed to bring that ERP down to the plant floor level and seamlessly integrate with all that plant floor information. They also needed to provide the operational teams. Now, this is where the money is made. Operational teams with relevant information, both from the ERP perspective and the plant floor, so that they could make the right decision on a repeated basis. Very important. They also had a burning desire to come up with standardized templates. So let's not recreate this platform over and over again for the various mines. But let's keep a mindset that we want to drive a standardized platform that can be transported to other facilities. And of course, as many organizations, they had a variety of legacy software systems, many homegrown with many people tied to these legacy systems, as if it was an offspring. They had many systems that were very difficult to use. As you can imagine, diamond mining is a bit of a specialty, and hence many of the software components that they're using in day-to-day operations were just an evolution over time that they felt would instill best practices. So we had to dispel those myths and really drive to a common software platform. From an operational and manufacturing side, challenges. Energy and fuel are huge costs. Victor Mine is on the grid. Snap Lake is not on the grid. They transport fuel there over a 3-month period, and we've probably all seen the Ice Road Truckers television show. Well, this is reality. They have tractor trailers and tankers literally go over ice roads to bring diesel fuel up to the mine site. And they store millions and millions of gallons of diesel fuel up there. We all probably realize what we pay for a liter or gallon of gasoline in our neighborhood. You could not imagine what the price is of a delivered gallon of fuel up at Snap Lake by the time it gets there. So it's a very precious commodity. It absolutely positively cannot run out, and it has to be managed very carefully. And hence one of the critical components of the energy and fuel management system that was deployed. DeBeers operates on 3 pillars that really drives their organization, and it was instrumental that our deployment cater to these various pillars. Culture of excellence. DeBeers internally believes that from an environmental standpoint, from an employee relations, that excellence is core to where they are today. As well, an industry reputation. DeBeers, the name itself, instills a vision of clarity, of diamonds, of perfection. And of course, value growth. Not growth for the sake of growth, but how is additional value fostered and brought within the organization?
This is maybe one of our biggest nightmares in any of our operations, is spreadsheets. And what we've said when we started the MI piece is that let's take small bites at this big elephant. Let's deliver to the customer what they want. And essentially, the mine operations is my customer, essentially. And this is a spreadsheet that was developed in-house, but we've took this and we put it right into MI to truly reflect what they see, to get the trust of the user. And the drill-down components that we were referring to earlier is that basically they can click on any of these steps, and I've purposely have it highlighted red, and they can roll down further to see what piece in the manufacturing plant is causing that downtime. The fuel management, like Vic said, we have to truck it in. We store close to 600 million liters of fuel on the mine site at Snap Lake. And this is a simple report on how they do their training. The monthly totals, the inventory versus the consumption. And it's extremely important for forecasting on a yearly basis, especially when you have to get the inventory in and buy the stock and the fuel.
And let me just give you a snapshot of what the energy management information system on the MII platform delivers. We have a composite application that delivers the visualization. It enables MII to connect to energy meters, whether they be gas, whether they be steam, whether they be diesel, electricity. So MII now has visibility to meters. And of course, sub-meters. Depending on your energy architecture within your facility, sub-metering may be required to get the specific energy going to major manufacturing assets. So we first give MII visibility to the energy and to the meters. We then, of course, present that information via screens and charts and graphs, so we present visibility of that information. Very critical. One great man at some point said, you can't manage what you can't measure. And certainly if you can't see it, you have the same problem. Here we have a snapshot of sub-metering of electrical energy going to various significant assets of the manufacturing process, and then totaled up to show the total energy. Once we overlay the targets, and I say targets, but they're actually dynamic targets. So if production changes, my energy target should change. If the weather changes, my energy target may change. If the occupancy changes, if the SKU changes of the product I'm making. So one of the critical components is to have this energy target dynamic and related to the manufacturing process. Critical. Some of the various components that made the project successful, you could imagine by the locations of the facilities, you could travel halfway around the world in 12 to 14 hours. You can't get from Snap Lake to Toronto in 12 and 14 hours. So there were definite some challenges. Also, they operate on a 2-week shift rotational basis. So the people that you talk to for a 2-week period and set up your plans, well, they go away for the next 2 weeks. So the continuity of project deployment and implementation was very difficult, and hence, we really had to kick up the amount of communication and collaboration so that there was continuity throughout the process. As well, from a systems integrator and deployment partner perspective, this man, Lorenzo Plath, was just a godsend as far as his passion, his vision, and his due diligence to ensure that we achieved the milestones. And that was very critical to have such a strong key sponsor within the organization. Certainly as far as working with DeBeers, they pulled in some very, very strong team members that were really subject matter experts. So when they made a decision, it was what needed to be done moving forward. There was no second guessing and no going back and no rework. So that very important to have individuals that can make the decision to move the project forward. And also, right from the beginning, from a very executive level, one of DeBeers' concerns was we don't want this to be a multitude of applications that we potentially spread out across all of our mine sites on a global basis. We really need to focus on bringing this down to a templated, repeatable best practices that we can roll out to various mines. So when it got down to the granular individual one-on-one, of course everybody had their own wants and needs, and we had to dispel that to say, certainly you have your needs and wants. You have them of yourself, your shift, your site, but you need to look at the multi-site, the corporate view, and really extrapolate that up to what are we doing and creating here that's going to be good for all. So energy has to be looked at as a raw material moving forward. It's going nowhere in pricing but up. And for us, manufacturing to remain competitive, that mindset really has to change.
25K cost avoidance might not be the big number that we saw yesterday that Paul had put up onto the board there, but certainly there's a lot of other small tangible benefits that we've seen from implementing MI today. We have 25,000 cost avoidance in our plant. Because we have real-time insight into the plant now, we can see when a piece of equipment breaks down. Certainly from a Excel spreadsheet point of view, instead of having your operators running around to each piece of PLC and writing down the meters, now you have less manpower running around. You have real-time visibility in it, and all the data is displayed right in front of you. The leveraging onto the ERP system, that speaks for itself, because we've alluded to that many times throughout the presentation this 2 days.
The energy application that was deployed here is really meant for the common, for the masses, if you will. It's not mining specific whatsoever. The composite application has configuration screens where you as the user define a meter. Is this meter measuring compressed air? Is it measuring natural gas? So you, the user, configure your own energy management information system. So in this case, we worked with them to configure it for mining specific scenarios, but you set up the tagging of the information based on your facility, your boiler optimization, your compressed air system. So you configure those meters for your specific application.